or an unstable Pakistan? Explain why.
Well, they're both extremely dangerous. I always have focused, as you know, Gwen, I've been focusing on for a long time, along with Barack, on Pakistan. Pakistan already has nuclear weapons. Pakistan already has deployed nuclear weapons. Pakistan's weapons can already hit Israel and the Mediterranean. Iran getting a nuclear weapon would be very, very destabilizing. They are not close to getting a nuclear weapon that's able to be deployed. So they're both very dangerous. They both be game changers. But look, here's what the fundamental problem I have with John's policy about terror and stability. John continues to tell us that the central war on the front on terror is in Iraq. I promise you, if an attack comes in the homeland, it's going to come, as our security services said, it's going to come from al-Qaeda planning in the hills of Afghanistan and Pakistan. That's where they live, that's where they are, that's where it will come from, and right now that resides in Pakistan. A stable government needs to be established. We need to support that democracy by helping them not only with their military but with their governance as well as their economic well-being. There have been 7,000 madrasas built along that border. We should be helping them build schools to compete for those hearts and minds of the people in the region so that we are actually able to take on terrorism. And by the way, that's where bin Laden lives, and we will go at him if we have actionable intelligence.
Governor, nuclear Pakistan, unstable Pakistan, nuclear Iran, which is the greater threat?
Both are extremely dangerous, of course. And as for who termed that central war on terror being in Iraq, it was General Petraeus and al-Qaeda. Both leaders there, and it's probably the only thing that they're ever going to agree on, but that it was a central war on terror is in Iraq. You don't have to believe me or John McCain on that. I would believe Petraeus and that leader of al-Qaeda. Nuclear armed, especially Iran, is so extremely dangerous to consider. They cannot be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons, period. Israel is in jeopardy, of course, when we're dealing with Ahmadinejad as a leader of Iran. Iran claiming that Israel is, he termed it a stinking corpse, a country that should be wiped off the face of the earth. Now, a leader like Ahmadinejad, who is not sane or stable when he says things like that, is not one whom we can allow to acquire nuclear energy, nuclear weapons. Ahmadinejad, Kim Jong-il, the Castro brothers, others who are dangerous dictators are ones that Barack Obama has said he would be willing to meet with without preconditions being met first. An issue like that, taken up by a presidential candidate, goes beyond naivete and goes beyond poor judgment. A statement that he made like that is downright dangerous, because leaders like Ahmadinejad, who would seek to acquire nuclear weapons and wipe off the face of the earth, an ally like we have in Israel, should not be met with without preconditions and diplomatic efforts being undertaken first.
Governor and Senator, I want you both to respond to this. Secretaries of State Baker, Kissinger, Powell, Baker, they have all advocated some level of engagement with enemies. Do you think these former secretaries of state are wrong on that?
No, and Dr. Henry Kissinger especially, and I had a good conversation with him recently, and he shared with me also his passion for diplomacy, and that's what John McCain and I would engage in also. But again, with some of these dictators who hate America and hate what we stand for with our freedoms, our democracy, our tolerance, our respect for women's rights, those who would try to destroy what we stand for cannot be met with just sitting down on a presidential level, as Barack Obama had said he would be willing to do. That is beyond bad judgment. That is dangerous. No, diplomacy is very important. First and foremost, that is what we would engage in. But diplomacy is hard work by serious people. It's lining out clear objectives and having your friends and your allies ready to back you up there, and have sanctions lined up also before any kind of presidential summit would take place.
Senator.
Can I clarify this? That's just simply not true about Barack Obama. He did not say he'd sit down with Ahmadinejad. The fact of the matter is, it surprises me that Senator McCain doesn't realize that Ahmadinejad does not control the security apparatus in Iran. The theocracy controls the security apparatus, number one. Number two, 5 secretaries of state did say we should talk with and sit down. Now, John and Governor Palin now say they have a passion, I think the phrase was, a passion for diplomacy, and that we have to bring our friends and allies along. Our friends and allies have been saying, Gwen, sit down, talk, talk, talk. Our friends and allies have been saying that. 5 secretaries of state, 3 of them Republicans. And John McCain has said he would go along with an agreement, but he wouldn't sit down. Now, how do you do that when you don't have your administration sit down and talk with the adversary?